Hello, Laverne here, and thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be discussing Revelation 10. I'm going to be explaining who it is that's being talked about, and that the Bible scholars, teachers and preachers, and the bishops and popes over the centuries, and those of today have gotten it and are getting it wrong. Most Christians believe that the one being talked about is Jesus Christ. And of those who don't believe it's Jesus Christ, they believe that it's one of the archangels, such as Michael or Gabriel. But this could not be further from the truth. For the one that's being talked about and depicted here in Revelation 10 is none other than Satan. Satan is the one, and it's so important to understand why it is and how it is, and the significance of the fact that we've been attributing this person depicted here as being that of Jesus Christ. Now, I don't have time to explain everything I want to in this video, so this is going to have to be broken up into two. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the facts of why I say this is Satan. In the next video is actually going to be more of a commentary on these facts and why it's so important to understand and get this message out. Now, I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation. And it reads, it begins, "Then I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, surrounded by a cloud with a rainbow over his head." So this is showing an angel coming down out of heaven. First thing, I want to mention that this description of coming down out of heaven into heaven. Now, if all we have is the Bible to read from, there is not very much to explain how this could be. How could you be in heaven and yet someone coming down from heaven to be in it? Well, Paul gives a very brief explanation in one of his epistles where he says he was taken up to the third heaven, giving us a bit of an understanding that there are different levels to heaven. But when we have the writings of Enoch, in it we see a very full explanation of what heaven is like. For he tells us there are 10 different levels of heaven, and he explains what each is like. So we see Satan coming down out of one level of heaven into another. And he has this rainbow around him, which represents a covenant. Now, I know people will be saying, Satan can't give us a covenant. Covenant can only be made with God, but that's not true. People make covenants with people. People make covenants with God, and people make covenants with Satan. And the fact that this angel is surrounded by a cloud shows us that this is a false covenant. The only other place that a rainbow surrounding somebody is described in the Bible is that of Revelation 4. And we see a rainbow surrounding God. But there is no cloud with that rainbow. Now, going on, his face shone like the sun, and his feet were like pillars of fire. Now, to explain this, first off, most Christians do know that both Satan and Christ are described as the morning star. They are both described as being beautiful and being this light, although Satan is a false light, a false bringer of light, but he is still called the bringer of light. And the morning star. Both of them are given this description, this name. Now, the pillars of fire, though, this is something that there is no indication that it could be Jesus. We do not see this anywhere in Scripture. But if we go to Ezekiel 28, verse 14, it reads, "I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to the holy mountain of God and walked among the stones of fire." Now, most scholars agree that Ezekiel 28 is actually a prophecy that Ezekiel was commanded to give to Satan by God. Even though it's given in the form of being told to the king of Tyre, it is actually being given to Satan. Most scholars agree with this. And so, if we understand that this is Satan that's being talked about here, and we understand that he walked among the stones of fire, this then explains why the one being talked about here in Revelation 10 has feet that were like pillars of fire, for he walked among fire. And in his hand was a small scroll that had been opened, and he stood with his right foot on the sea and the left foot on the land. And he gave a great shout like the roar of a lion. Now again, just as with the morning star, both Jesus and Satan are described as being like a lion. Although in the case of Jesus, it is always in a royal or majestic sense. Whereas Satan, when he's described being like a lion, it is for devouring and for roaring like a lion. And the one described here is doing exactly that. He is giving a roar of a lion. Now, the fact that he had one foot in the sea and one foot in the land. Later on in Revelation, we see that there are two beasts talked about. One beast comes out of the sea and the other comes out of the land. And what we see here with a 1 foot in each is explaining that this person is in charge of those two beasts. This is the one that the two beasts serve, that being Satan. Reading on, then the angel I saw standing on the sea and on the land raised his right hand toward heaven. He swore an oath in the name of the one who lives forever and ever, who created the heavens and everything in them, the earth and everything in it, and the sea and everything in it. And he said, there will be no more delay. When the seventh angel blows his trumpet, God's mysterious plan will be fulfilled. It will happen just as he announced it to his servants, the prophets. An oath, swearing an oath to God. Do these teachers of the gospel, preachers, these leaders of the church, do they not remember Jesus' teaching that we are not to swear by God or by heaven? We have a direct command from Christ that we are not to do this. So does it make sense that Christ would give us a command not to swear by God and yet would go ahead and do it himself? Absolutely not. But it does make sense that the evil one would do such a thing. And that's what we see here. And what he's doing is he's raising his hand and he's saying that basically when the seventh trumpet is blown, my time has come. It will be my time as it's being ordained by God. And that's what we see being declared here. Now, then the voice from heaven spoke to me again. Go and take the open scroll from the hand of the angel who is standing on the sea and on the land. So I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll. Yes, take it and eat it, he said. It will be sweet as honey in your mouth, but it will turn sour in your stomach. Now, to explain this passage, we need to go to Job. But before I explain that passage, I'd like to read from Job 1, verse 6. It reads, one day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. So here in Job we see that it's described as the heavenly court, and that Satan comes before God there. And that's exactly what we see in Revelation 10. We see the heavenly court and Satan coming before him, exactly as it's described in Job. Now in Job chapter 20, verse 12 to 14, it reads, they enjoyed the sweet taste of wickedness, letting it melt under their tongue. They savored it, holding it long in their mouths. But suddenly the food in their bellies turns sour, a poisonous venom in their stomach. What we see here is a description of wickedness and how that it tastes sweet in the mouth but turns sour in the stomach. The exact description that is given in Revelation 10. So what we are seeing here is a description of evil. And that's what John tastes and goes through when he devours this scroll. So this small scroll is about evilness and wickedness. That's what this passage is telling us. Now, that's about all here. In my next video, I want to discuss the significance of understanding that this is Satan, and also the significance of the fact that the church has been fooled and that the leaders of the church have been teaching something else for centuries. All right, as always, I look forward to comments and messages. Till next time, peace and blessings.